Yeah. Okay, great. So, hi, my name's Ellis. I'm one of the presidents of STEP InTO OxMed this year, and this is the first episode of our kind of little webinar, kind of podcast called Step to Inspire. And I'm joined by Julia, who's really excited to talk about her special interest in kind of lifestyle medicine. Um, yeah, so let's jump in. So my first kind of um opening line will be just to ask Julia why you decided to apply to Oxford Medicine and kind of what your journey was like.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I am very excited. And yeah, my journey to Oxford Medicine started maybe around the age of 8 when my someone that I knew said, I think you'd be a good doctor, an adult. And at the time, I thought, oh, I don't want to be a doctor. That doesn't sound like me. But then by the time that I got to about 16, I realized that although my previous passion of being an actress still excited me, I also really enjoyed science. And I had lots of questions about why our bodies work the way that they do, and other parts of science. But I always found the human body the most interesting, and I realized that it would be a career that would always give me that sense of learning something, being excited at learning something new. Um, and as time went on, I think I realized that the place that really would grow that interest in learning and kind of taking the fundamental um, mechanisms in our body and applying it to medicine. And that place was Oxford. The reason for that is because they really hone in on the research side of things. And with that, you need to have a really good understanding of not just the diseases that the human body has, but also fundamentally how the human body works and the science behind it. So that's why I chose Oxford.
Lovely, sounds great. I think that it's funny that the actress to doctor pipeline is maybe one thing.
Yeah, I think it's still useful though, because part of medicine is also interacting with people, and people are complicated, and you are performing in a way by interacting with all of these different kinds of people.
Yeah, definitely. I think having a poker face is good. Good
Definitely.
ability. Um, Great. And so kind of since you've been at university then, obviously you've kind of found this interest in lifestyle medicine. Kind of what kind of sparked that, or what kind of was there any kind of moment, or was there anything that you just kind of found and decided liked it?
Yeah. So the first year of doing medicine for everyone, I think, is very like exciting and overwhelming.
Yeah.
You're just getting to grips with everything. But then once I got to my second year, I think I started to realize that even though I was getting better and I felt a lot more comfortable with how to learn, I still had quite a lot of underlying stress. Um, and I'd heard that exercise is good for stress, and exercise makes people happy. So I figured I should probably start doing some of that. So I attempted to start running, which at the time was quite a big step for me, because my whole life I basically told myself that I would only ever run if something was chasing me. Um, so I started running, and I decided to just make it a habit rather than trying to, excel, because I think that's like a medical student thing, is trying to be really good at anything that you're doing. But I decided, no, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't matter if I'm good at it, I'm just going to do it. And it did make me a lot happier. I think it changed my life, to be honest. Like, you can't understate how a change in your mind can just improve everything. And I think that was the step to me making lots of different little lifestyle improvements. And then in fourth year, we got to do a special study module. One of the options was lifestyle medicine. So I decided to do that. And that just re-sparked my passion. And it made me realize that this isn't just an individual experience that I've had. There's lots of scientific research into the benefits of lifestyle, not just for people like me without chronic conditions, but even someone with diabetes or COPD or any medical condition.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you kind of have alluded to it through the running and things, but I know that you're very into the food and things. And I just to someone that doesn't know, what does lifestyle medicine look like in practice?
Yeah. So anything that relates to what you would think a healthy lifestyle is lifestyle medicine. There are 6 pillars, and that one of them is physical activity. Another one is healthy eating. We have sleep, avoiding harmful substances and behaviors like smoking, drinking, gambling, healthy relationships, and mental well-being. You might think there's quite a lot of overlap between those things, which is true, but it's just a framework to work through different aspects of lifestyle. And then lifestyle medicine thinks about those pillars, and then you might think about the foundation of a house, which is supporting the pillars. Those are anything that affects your lifestyle. So the environment that we live in, the policy from government, how much money you have, the actual genetics related to lifestyle. And then the ceiling of the house, on top of the pillars, are all of the skills that we learn to change our patient's lifestyle. And there are, lots of different techniques that have been explored in research, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that sounds great. I like the fact that that analogy that it kind of builds, and that there's different areas. So it's not just physical, it's not just running, it's kind of emotional and economic, like security that kind of encompasses your entire life. Because I think
exactly.
Yeah. And is there any? I know we do a project within each of our SSTs. What was yours? Did you focus on, or is there any kind of area of specific interest for you?
I decided to sign up for an essay competition. Mm-hmm. So when you're at medical school, different organizations will put up these competitions, and sometimes you can go to the conference or win some money. So mine was about no and low alcohol drinks like Heineken 0.0, for example, whether they help to reduce the harms of alcohol or whether somehow they might contribute to them. Which initially, when I read the question, I thought, well, surely they wouldn't contribute to the harm. They are going to help if people are drinking them instead of alcohol. But yeah, with a bit more reading, I realized, well, actually, when you bring these big companies into it, they have their own commercial incentives. So advertising Heineken 0.0 is you can advertise that in lots of places that you are not allowed to advertise Heineken because it's alcohol, but you're still advertising the same brand. So I think a big aspect of lifestyle medicine is also understanding how the commercial influences, like big companies, how they influence our lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like as an informed consumer, you would then choose to kind of, or like even the ethics of that, whether you actually kind of choose to be influenced by these companies, as you say, if Heineken is in these spaces where actually it's not usually, alcoholic brands aren't usually in those spaces. Yeah,
Mm.
that's really interesting. Um, and so have you taken anything away from that? Obviously, you said you're running and the food and things. Have you taken any of these practices into your own kind of life?
Yeah. So I started running. I
Mm-hmm.
also run a food blog,
Mm-hmm.
where I just post the food that I make, and I have started practicing mindfulness, which is another thing that I thought before. Meditation, that's not really for me. My brain is always thinking about something. So how am I going to meditate and think about nothing? Um, yeah, I would say if you're thinking similar things, there's no harm in just giving something a go. You might be surprised, or you might not, which is also fine. Um, and then I've also, I think, brought it into my clinical practice when I see patients, because one of the things that I realized once we started going into the hospital is that a lot of patients in hospital are really unhappy, and obviously they are, a lot of them are very ill, but some of them are not immediately very ill, but they're still very unhappy. And it made me think, why is that? When I spoke to them, a lot of them mentioned like being in a different environment, the food that you get. So lots of diabetics, when they go into hospital, get worse blood sugar control because of the food that they're getting. Um, and I also realized that lots of the questions that the doctors were asking didn't seem to actually get to the root of who the patient is. Um, and that bothered me. So I think I have really tried to think about how I can ask them more about their lifestyle, not just in a judgmental way of, oh, you shouldn't be eating that, or you really should be exercising, but actually like what matters to them, why, well, you know, what things would actually improve their overall well-being rather than just a pill.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really good. And do you know, kind of off the back of that, whether kind of an area of medicine where you'd maybe be able to have the most impact in that, or has that influenced your decision and specialty wise and things?
Yeah. Like there's evidence for the benefits of lifestyle on most medical conditions, but especially long-term conditions, which increasingly is what we're facing in the NHS, is people with multiple chronic conditions. And managing that can be very complicated, but actually something like stopping smoking can improve your diabetes, improve asthma, improve your kidneys. Um, so in terms of specialty, I think GPs are people who are best equipped to deal with lifestyle, because they are in the community, they know who their patients are, and they can bring groups of patients together to talk about diabetes, for example, in group consultations.
Mhm.
So that's where it's led me.
Lovely. And yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of kind of different aspects as well. Like, I don't know, as you mentioned before, kind of the policy aspects, there's the kind of actual face-to-face aspects, and there's a lot of different kind
Mm,
of areas to it. If
definitely.
you if you were to give kind of any advice to like younger students coming in, so obviously one of the kind of main takeaways from these kind of chats that we're having is I want to kind of like allow kind of people who are considering a career in medicine that, you know, you don't just have to be a doctor, you can do other things and kind of influence
Yeah.
kind of portfolio careers as well. So
Yeah.
is there any kind of things that you'd maybe wish you'd known, or any advice that you'd give like younger students applying?
I would say going into medicine, you're going to be surrounded by a lot of very impressive people, um, students who are overachievers just like you are, and doctors who have lots of things go under their belt, lots of research, and it's good to be inspired by people, but com- comparing yourself to them and feeling like you should be doing what everyone else is doing is only going to harm you in the long run. There are millions of different kinds of doctors with millions of different things that they do every day. It's not just seeing someone in hospital. You can become a teacher, you can become you can be a social activist, you can do research. There's a million more things. So if there's something that you are interested in, even if you don't think that it is medicine, follow that and see how you could integrate that into your career, because that almost definitely is someone who's already doing something similar.
Yeah, definitely. I think that really resonates. Like when I, at the end of my first medicine interview for Oxford, they were like, "Do you have any questions?" And I asked them whether they had any advice because I was like, "You're all kind of successful people. Do you have any advice for someone who's kind of just starting out in the world?" And they were like, "Just kind of, if you're interested in something, follow it," because like that's what they'd been doing for their entire lives. And like if equally, if you don't enjoy something, now you don't enjoy it, like, and you
Yeah,
can kind of work it out from there. But yeah, and again, the kind of second point to the kind of don't compare yourself to others, like you are an individual, like you
yeah,
can no one's ever going to have exactly the same experiences as you have, so like you've
yeah.
got something to offer that someone else
And
doesn't have to offer.
just because someone else is doing something that you think is impressive, that doesn't mean that you can't do something different that's also successful or
Yeah,
good.
yeah, definitely. Or even if you are like, if they're part of a society that you, or like go and have a chat with them, talk to them, like join it. Like
Yeah,
you can do the same thing.
exactly.
Like you can do anything you want. Um, Great. Well, it's been great to talk about lifestyle medicine with you, Julia. Thank you for being our first guest. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, we'll wait for episode 2, I guess.
Yeah. Good luck to everyone who is applying for medicine. It's a long and uh, worth it venture.
Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.